Since AI hit the scene, moving at a million miles an hour, we've been talking about security. But to understand the security of Copilot, you need to first understand the differences between SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. In this video, I'm going to use plain language your mom could understand to break down the differences, and I promise you by the end that you'll be an expert. Not only on that, but you'll understand why SharePoint has such a huge impact on the way you use Copilot. All right, welcome to SharepointVille, a huge, sprawling metropolis city, and one that can be changed or reconstructed in a moment. Almost infinite in its ability to be reconfigured. The great thing about SharePoint is that you can build it into anything. And the terrible thing about SharePoint is that you can build it into anything. So the way that you design it is really important. You could build a sleek intranet or a confusing maze if you're not careful. More on that later. But let's talk about the fairly typical version of SharepointVille today. It has various spaces about it. Over there is executive towers. Over here is HR land. And there's a giant park called Common Greens. There's probably a spot for sales and marketing, finance, and any other department you have set up. Finally, there's OneDrive towers, where your apartment lives, your OneDrive apartment. In your OneDrive apartment within SharepointVille, you are the sole custodian of all things. Only your keycard gets access to this specific spot within SharepointVille, unless, of course, you decide to grant that access to someone else. Now, there are a couple of ways to get around in SharepointVille. One of the most common is the Teams mobile. Teams is designed to be able to navigate around SharePoint easily. It doesn't go anywhere where your keycard can't access, but using it means you'll be inside of an interface that you're probably already familiar with. The relationship between Teams and SharePoint is very tight. In fact, if you're using your Teams mobile and you decide, hey, this would be a good place to drop a channel for the project that we're working on, SharePoint will go, all right, no problem. We'll put a little building here where you can store documents for that channel. So Teams can not only navigate, but it can alter SharePoint as it goes. Now, if you're not using the Teams mobile, maybe you're using Windows Explorer as your vehicle to get around. Provided that you've already been to a place within SharePoint inside of your favorite browser, you can create a link to that place inside of Windows Explorer, and it will show up as though that place is inside of your OneDrive apartment. Don't worry, Apple users, the same goes for Mac Finder. Your keycard is your credentials. It goes with you everywhere. And one of the most remarkable things about SharepointVille is that if your keycard doesn't open a place, that place doesn't even show up for you. It's like that entire part of the city is invisible, which of course means that OneDrive apartment building you live in, well, you think you're the only tenant and the only apartment. If your IT administrator all of a sudden gives you permissions to visit some other place, poof, it just shows up on the map as though it was there all along. If someone in your organization gives you access to part of the space in their OneDrive apartment, poof, now you can see there's a second apartment in your apartment building. As the city expands and grows with your organization, the complexity can become greater and greater with these permissions, which is where some of the problems can lie. We did a video over here that talks about the differences between Copilot Chat and Copilot Business. It's a bit of a precursor to this video, so if you haven't checked it out, you should go and do so. But the moment you assign a Copilot business license to somebody, it's as though you give them an AI robot that gets a copy of their keycard. That AI robot can go anywhere in SharepointVille that the person can go, and that matters because over time, your SharePoint city has grown complex. Parts of the city you created a few years ago that had a permission structure that made sense at the time may have been left abandoned for a while, and all the documents inside those parts of the city remain open. Not only that, but any mistakes you made in the permission structure of your city, the Copilot robot is going to find. A normal user might go forever ignorant of the fact that you left a file called executive compensation accidentally open. But the Copilot robot goes everywhere and they're going to find it. The bottom line is that if the permissions are messy, Copilot will surface those mistakes faster than any human. Now you know the differences between SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams, and why it's so important that you get ready for AI with a focus specifically on security. In this ever-changing IT landscape, be adaptive. We'll see you next time.